Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Chak Podkast. It's a great week this week because we are lucky enough to have on the podcast Ben, educator Ben, as you might know him. This is great, man. It's been a while. We got together last week on your show, so I'm glad to have you on this one. How are you doing?
Yeah, first of all, Chak, thanks very much for the invite. It's been too long since we talked. I know that you came to the table months ago, right at the beginning of the Lumenswap adventure, and we had a brief kind of chat. And I think both of us were trying to find out what Lumenswap was going to be doing. And it's taken us till now really to kind of fathom everything out, hasn't it? So it's great to be here. It's great for you to have the time to put me on, and I hope we can bring some value to people watching. Yeah, let's see what we can do, mate. It's good.
Awesome. I'm putting my device here on do not disturb. That way we don't get any problems here. But as you know, the format of this is pretty simple. We got a lot of questions in this week, more than we usually get. So we're just going to try to provide a little bit of context to all of them. At the end of it, we're going to pick out a winner. That winner is going to get 1,000 Lumenswap sent directly to him. Which is always a plus. We tried to keep it NFT centric this week, but it looks like we got a good mix of questions here as well too that aren't NFT specific. So let's just jump into it. All right. First question on the board here is: do NFTs have a potential to be the future of art and completely replace it? I guess by it they mean physical art, I'd imagine, in the next 10 to 20 years.
I think it's a great question. I mean, you're going to be able to bring a lot of layers to this as well from my perspective. I mean, I'm only really just entering kind of the NFT space and understanding, and I think Shaq's got a much greater depth. But the way I see things is, I don't think it's going to replace. I think there's a massive space for physical art. I think art comes in many different formats, as we know. Paintings and sculptures and poetry, and I could go on and on and on. But I mean, we can just see behind me here. This is one of the latest artists to be verified on Lightmint, Droid Inks, and I think we're going to see an explosion. We're going to see this metaverse where we're going to have a blend of actual reality and virtual reality, and I think NFTs are going to have to play a part there. I think we're going to see, in terms of identification, verification, so ID verification with NFTs. I think they're going to play a part there. Also, with regards to, for me, with gamification, with when we look at, say, lending and borrowing, I think maybe if you've got some of these really expensive NFTs that are out there, you may be able to stake them and take a loan based on the NFT. So I don't think it's just going to be a silo of just like kind of art. I think NFTs are going to completely like spread out into many different areas of our lives, and sometimes we're probably not even going to know that it's necessarily an NFT.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think there's always going to be that space. Right now, I'm personally working with artists that come from the gallery space, big in the gallery space, and they're looking to do NFTs now. And they were kind of up in the odds about how the gallery space was going to handle that. Are they going to be upset about it because they're taking away their $1.7 million, or are they going to be pro that? And I think galleries are even starting to get on board now. A lot more NFT galleries are popping up. And I think it's going to be a conversion there, where there's kind of a molding or a melting of those two industries. And I just see the only additional benefit being the utility. I know artists of all ilks want to add utility to their art, and so this just gives them the availability to do so. I think we'll see a lot more things that we haven't even thought about coming together with NFTs, with sculptures having 3D NFT renderings and so on and so forth. And so it's an exciting space, and it's going to be a lot going on there. I don't know if they replace it, because classical art's been around for way longer than NFTs even thought about being in existence, right? But in the same token, we are moving forward to a different style of art. So, it's kind of up in the air. 10 to 20 years, I think it'd be a lot of fair amount of time to do that in. But we'll see how it goes for sure. I think you hit the nail on the head, though. So we'll jump into the next question, but that was a great answer. Thank you very much. That was Javano96 for giving us that question. This next one is from Barbara. Hi, Chak. Is it possible to lend LSP and the YBX platform? Thanks. I don't have much knowledge on YBX. I've been researching just like over the last day because a buddy of mine sent me something about YBX and an airdrop that they had, but I don't know much about it. How are you on YBX, and do you know?
Yeah, I'm the same. I take my hat off. I know it's another kind of DeFi project on Stellar, but no, as far as I'm aware, there's been no collaborations with Lumenswap with any other Stellar DeFi product. So I would say at the moment, they haven't. If it is available, they haven't told their educator, right? So I would presume it's not available, but maybe they're doing something behind the scenes. But at this moment, nothing I know of.
Yeah, and that's the third time in like 3 weeks that we got some YBX questions. So I think that's going to prompt me to dive in and do some more research on the YBX platform. That way, when the next time it comes up, I'll have a little more information for you guys personally, for sure. But thank you for the question, Barbara. This next question is from Mark. Love the idea of Lumenswap's NFTs. Do you think they could have a utility, i.e., for voting or stakes to earn on LSP?
The way that I see it is, I think we are not going to position ourselves as a competitor to Lightmint. I think Lumenswap wants to elevate Lightmint, and Chak and I have had offline conversations about how the NFT space on Stellar is going to grow, and these JPEG DAO and Lightmint and Lumenswap, and how they can work together, and I think each of them are going to be a unit, their own piece of the jigsaw. And I think what we're going to see with the NFTs on Lumenswap is maybe, and this isn't guaranteed, I can't say this has come from the top because it hasn't, but maybe they have their own drop, and then those are going to be traded amongst us in the community with LSP tokens. So they're bringing utility to the token using NFTs rather than saying, we're a marketplace, you can come and mint here, and you guys can come. Because I think then that comes as a competitor to Lightmint. And what we're not trying to do is we're trying to elevate Lightmint. What would be nice is, I think, for Lightmint to incorporate other tokens that you could use. As Stellar starts doing this kind of, swapping, so you're sending one asset and it's arriving in a different form. Yes. I think it would be nice to be able to click onto Lightmint and say, I want to use, let's just say XLMG or LSP or Aqua, and I want to buy that NFT. And I think that could be something we're going to see as well. So I think, to answer your question, I don't think the utility is going to be there initially. I think it's going to be like a light version. And I think we're going to just be able to transact using LSP tokens for those NFTs.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. I think everybody, and we just took a meeting at JPEG DAO on Friday. It was a marketing meeting, and we were talking about that direct relationship between JPEG DAO and Lightmint, and how we don't want to be that multiple platform. Lightmint does what they do well, right? And we all want to elevate Lightmint. Our relationship with JPEG DAO versus Lightmint is, we have artists on our platform, but that's all coming back to being minted on Lightmint, right? Like, and that's how we prefer to play it, and that's I think how we're going to play it in the future. So I can definitely see that being a thing. I would like to be able to use my LSP to buy it. I think there's certain projects inside the Stellar platform that can almost be used as almost a stable currency, not necessarily a stable currency, but a mode of transfer inside of the Stellar network. And I do see LSP definitely being one of those exchanges. They've been around for a while. I could see Doge token being the same thing. I could see, you mentioned XLMG. I was investing in that before I was investing in anything in there. So I see that as well too, for sure. And I like that answer. And so, Mark, thank you very much for that question. Next question is going to be from, I'm going to butcher this name, Dunexmlon. Don't give me any flack inside the Telegram server for butchering this name, please. All right, I'm going to go with the Dunexmlon for the final answer. Is this project officially supported by the Stellar Foundation? By this project, I'm assuming they mean LSP, and that's a pretty short answer, which would be yeah.
I think that we've had deep conversations. Our developers have had deep conversation with Justin Rice and the rest of the team at Stellar. In how that we can, because we're essentially going to be one of the leading, if not the leading project built on Stellar, and I think it's very important for us to have tight relationships. So the answer to that is that we've had conversations with them, and we've had very productive conversations, so that they're well aware of what we're trying to do in the space. And I think that there's been nothing to my knowledge to say that they're not very 100% supportive of that.
Yeah, I would agree there for sure. So thank you for the question. The next one's from Neri, a little bit easier of a name here. What are the advantages of owning LSP NFTs compared to other NFTs like Sol or ETH?
Well, I think the first thing, I mean, Shaq's that, he's the man, he's our Lumenswap NFT kind of consultant. So, I mean, he's going to be able to add, loads of layers to the answer of this question. For us, initially, it's a case of we're recognizing, this is an additional feature. This is not a roadmap feature. This is an additional feature. We're recognizing that NFTs are blowing up. We're wanting to put our toe in the water of the NFT. We're wanting to get into that world. And then what we can do is we can build out from the initial kind of, beta or version 1 of what we're creating. So I think it's going to be, as I said, the way that I kind of see it is going to be, we're going to have a drop. And then the drop's going to be to certain people. It might be randomized. And then we can then go and buy and sell amongst ourselves using LSP tokens. And some of those are going to be really super rare. And some of those will probably be more common. But I mean, it might be the fact that they're all unique. And if it's a drop where they're all unique, it might be you want, a certain one and someone else wants a certain one. And we're going to be able to facilitate the swapping and the purchasing, selling, etc. of those in the Lumenswap app, which is quite exciting.
And I think the possibilities are endless, honestly, as far as what we can do, which I think is super exciting. I think when it comes to NFTs specifically within the LSP network as compared to Sol or ETH, first of all, you're not going to be paying outrageous gas fees when it comes to ETH, and we know that to be true. Sol, I consider more akin to similar to what we're doing, just because I mean, from a price perspective. But I think the cool part about Sol is everybody that had those first NFTs that came out on Sol that actually did well, they they benefited. They were part of this movement that now Sol is almost number 2 when it comes to NFT space. You got Sol, you got Tezos, and that's about really all anybody ever cares about, right? Algo is supposed to be coming out with something and maybe some AVAX stuff, but I think that Stellar, because number 2 is really up in the air. I mean, it's pretty solid with Sol now, but I think number 2, 3, 4 ecosystems for having NFTs on are still up in the air. I think owning one on the Stellar blockchain and really inside the LSP network potentially could be that placement there. You're basically an early adopter. In addition to just LSP specific, like been alluded to, we're going to have a lot of utility inside the network for this. I mean, we just opened up AMMs and we have a lot of DeFi protocols that we're getting ready to hop in, and that's one of the biggest advantages, period, inside of the NFT space now is if your project doesn't have any type of DeFi protocols, and you're pretty much not doing anything, at least for a secondary market perspective. So you have the availability there, and without getting too much detail on anything, but without being too vague either, we can do whatever we want, which is the cool part about it. You're in on the inner depths of this community, and you have people that are definitely serious about the innovative nature of NFTs. And so I would say just sit and watch, and see what we come up with. If you got suggestions, throw them out there. We love community suggestions, and let's see what we can do with these things. But you are definitely in on the ground floor as opposed to not.
Yeah, and I think I amplify your words there and think that I put a tweet out earlier, which was the stellar gold rush, NFT gold rush is coming. There's no doubt about that. And like you said, getting an early adopter, some of the amazing artists that you've got as part of JPEG DAO. I mean, I keep saying about this JPEG DAO, but I mean, everyone needs to be looking at JPEG DAO because you're going to be getting these drops from these top artists out there, and the artists in their JPEG DAO are just going to keep growing and growing, and you're going to be getting all sorts of different value in the NFT world. I mean, I was talking to Nor Bears and the stuff that he's doing, metaverse stuff and everything, and it's like it's mind blowing. What's going to be happening. So yeah. I think we're going to see this gold rush because you touched on these the price is going to enable us to go out to, say, African nations, Asian nations, where people haven't got a lot of money. That art is not necessarily being able to be put up on ETH because of the price, but they can then make something, and that can be put onto Stellar because it's so cheap to mint. And we're including all of these different nations and developing nations, etc., that have not had the platform. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I might be even speaking out of turn, but shout out to JPEG DAO and the fact that we just came up with a system now where we're going to be bringing in cross-platform artists to the Stellar blockchain. And we came out with an incentive mechanism for doing so. And it's just really exciting. So just stay on, just stay on the wall for that one big time. But yeah, I think we nailed that question for sure. And we definitely appreciate that question. The next one's from Fergal. We love us some Fergal around here, you know. So do you think Lumenswap will develop their own wallet in the future?
I think it's, you know, for me, I would say that, you know, it's a natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, to have a Lumenswap wallet and then people take the Lumenswap wallet and use the Lumenswap wallet elsewhere in Stellar, I would think that that's doable, 100% doable. And I'd also think that when we've got our own NFTs and everything, you can incorporate the NFTs in the wallet, you know, like Xbull are doing. And, you know, the mind kind of like, you know, we've had conversations where we said it's limitless. The possibilities are limitless, aren't they? You know, when we start talking about the metaverse and, you know, you can bring in anything in your imagination into reality kind of thing, you know, and blend it and all this sort of stuff. It's pretty crazy that, you know, when we add all these things, there is no limitation, is there? Wallets, NFTs, and, you know, kind of all the bolt-on parts to Lumenswap, I think, are all going to be coming in the next 12 months, definitely.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you. I think it's not so much a matter of if, it's a matter of when that we get it on. I mean, that's a standard roadmap item for anybody in the DEX space anyway, but I think that as good and sound as we've been about committing to our roadmap items and knocking them out of the park, like not just doing them, but like literally killing them in a very good light. I think that is just a matter of when, you know, as far as it gets done. And so, yeah, I would say that's a pretty safe bet. I'd be shocked if it didn't happen. And so thank you for going for that. We got, will LSP NFT platform be interoperable with Lightmint?
I don't think so, no. I think it will be initially, the version that they launch will be just LSP. In the Lumenswap app. I think that's the way that it will work. The same as everything else. I think you'll be able to use your wallets, interconnect with that. As I said, I don't think anything that I've heard coming out of the Lumenswap top or the dev team, top tier team, is not that we are competing. We're looking at bringing more NFT value to the Lumenswap community, not trying to knock down other people's projects or compete with them at this stage. It's about elevation of Stellar at the moment. It's not about us, you know, trying to knock people down or trying to do something better. We want to make sure that we bring you all value.
Yeah, and I think it's more. I think it's a lot of recognition and respect as far as it goes, but also I can see a possibility where we have a secondary market for LSP specific drops. We have secondary listings on Lightmint. I can see it working that way for sure. And I think that's still as respectful because that opens up our market, but also gives the proper nod to LSP. Almost like if I did a drop on my website and my secondary markets ran on OpenSea, that's kind of a thing. And so I could see a reality where maybe it works from that specific way. I wouldn't even call that interoperability as opposed to just a secondary listings. But we'd also have to see if there's any conflict of interest there or not, as far as that goes. But you know, I can see it. But as of right now, I think that from an educational standpoint, that's really a lot while we're trying to get our community involved in NFTs. It's like, hey, NFTs are a thing. Let's all start learning together, just like we've done with everything else. We have been as the greatest educational resource that you could possibly have on the planet. And so I think that, you know, starting that in-house and then seeing where it goes from there is kind of a thing for sure. And so thank you for that question, very much so. Can you give us some insight on how the lending program will work and how LSP token will play a role?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on this in my the Lumenswap show last week. So if people want like more of an in-depth idea, then they can go there, because I actually showed how a protocol is actually working live at the moment. But essentially, what you do is you would take your LSP tokens and you would provide them as a collateral. So that is essentially saying, right, you know, this is this is what I'm putting down, and then you would be able to take a loan based on a certain what's called LTV, which is a loan to value, a ratio of that collateral. So that might be something like 50%. Let's just say 50%. So you'd put in, say, 10,000 LSP tokens, and you would be able to borrow 5,000 LSP tokens, right? Because that's 50% of that.
Yeah.
That's obviously what's called a leverage position, and you risk getting wrecked there. You risk getting liquidated. So it's very dangerous to do it in crypto. Some traders, you know, that are very, very talented can do leverage positions, you know, 10 times leverage, 50 times leverage. but it is very, very dangerous for a new person. But if you are watching it and you're maintaining that position, it's actually quite advantageous because you get to hold your tokens still. So it's like hodling, right? So you're hodling your tokens, and your tokens may well appreciate in value because you're hodling them. As your tokens are appreciating in value, then you would be able to borrow more based on their value rising, right? So initially, you'd be able to borrow whatever the price is against dollar value, right, in LSP. But as they rise in value, you would be able to borrow more. So essentially, you could take a loan to go and get yourself a Porsche or a nice fancy car based on your LSP hodlings, right? Because you could take that, you could keep them, you could take the loan. In many cases, these loans, right, will pay themselves. Because you're incentivized not just to provide the collateral, but also incentivized to take the loan. You need both for the lending and borrowing clients to work properly. So you could take that out, you could flip that into another currency, you could take it to an exchange, you could swap it out into fiat, and you can go and buy yourself a car. And that loan, it might be a positive, and this is what spins a lot of people out because they can't understand this, but because you're incentivized to take the loan could actually pay itself. So instead of taking a regular car loan where you're having to pay an APR on that, every month, every year, you're able to get yourself some wheels. And of course, there's a tax implication coming out of crypto and everything you need to take into consideration.
Of course.
But you can be able to get a positive balance, and you are paid to take a loan. And that's something we're investigating at the moment. I think it's a fascinating model to even start scratching the surface of.
Yeah, and that comes with the accumulation of the pricing. So, like, if you borrow at $1, right, and then your token goes up to $5, right, you could essentially be paying that loan back just based on the value.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen is, I mean, let's just use Lumen's LSP tokens being 10 cents. So we've put in 10 cents and we've put in X amount of those. So essentially we've put $1,000 worth at 10 cents, right? And so we can borrow $500, right? Because we can borrow 50%. Yeah. So but the LSP token value is 10 cents, but then the LSP token value goes up, right? So it goes up from 10 cents, it goes up to $1. So that is 10 times. So now we've got 10 times on the collateral side. And because we've got 10 times on the collateral side, we can obviously borrow 10 times on this side, right? So we can borrow a bigger loan. However, it can also work the opposite way.
Yeah.
Where you go in and it's 10 cents, and then if LSP goes down to 1 cent, this is how people get wrecked.
Yeah.
If it goes to 1 cent, you are still open to the $500 that you've borrowed.
Yeah.
And as that's dropping down, that level that I spoke to you about at the start, the 50% loan to value, is going 60%, 70%, up. And before you know it, you've hit that point when it gets what's called liquidated and you lose everything. Yeah. So you get completely wrecked. So you've got to be monitoring that loan, and if necessary, paying some off with your crypto profits to make sure you keep the balance. And this is where a lot of people go wrong because they don't keep an eye on it. And then they see a token, and we know tokens can drop 20, 30%.
The dangerous side of crypto, you know what I'm saying? The dangerous side of DeFi, you know? You really need to be skilled and seasoned. I had Jen on last week, and somebody was talking about trading versus not, or trading versus hodling. And I was like, if you're just getting into this space, hodling is like going to be the way to go, because you just got to be seasoned as a trader. And DeFi gets confusing. There's a lot of elements of DeFi I just do not understand myself. And I've been a degen since, degens were degens, really. And so it's kind of a thing. And so just be very, very careful. We want to emphasize that. And thank you for doing so. And so I'm guessing, let me see. I think we did that. So we got 3 more questions here. This one is from Nixon. You got 2 questions. First is, what stops the artist from tokenizing the same artwork multiple times on the same blockchain? And the second is, what's the connection between NFTs and cryptocurrency, like an NFT is created for LSP assets? That's a weird reading. Is there any connection between the digital asset and the NFT? And then let's just knock these out one by one, because he's got 3 of them here. Way to go. That's ambitious of you, Nixon. I like that a lot, by the way. But we'll start out with the first one. What stops the artist from tokenizing the same artwork multiple times on the same blockchain?
Well, I think that you can. I mean, artists can't they? Because they can do large supply. So, I mean, you can have the same. You can have the same NFT, and you can have it like minted 10 times, and it says like large supply or something. And the rarity can vary, can't it? So it won't necessarily mean that you hold the only one of them, unless it is a one of one.
Yeah.
Right. So you are buying that one piece, and then there's variants of that one piece.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe kind of answers that one where you are. But some people say about this whole right click thing, I can just like copy it and like just screen grab the and then, but if there's any utility, this is what people are missing. If there's a utility for that specific NFT, then you can copy that what the hell you like. It's not going to have the utility, is it? If you are having to lock up, or you need to make a collection of 5 NFTs, and those NFTs will unlock another level in a game, or they will unlock a yield or a reward or something, you could screen grab anything. It's not on the blockchain. So it doesn't count. So these people say, oh, well, of course you can do this. I mean, I can take a picture of, Inks artwork or Droid Inks or whoever, and I can put it into a frame like this. But if there's a utility behind it, the blockchain comes into its own because it has that unique code, and you'll need that to unlock the other stuff.
Yeah. And obviously, outside of that, the minting actually, I mean, from a technical perspective, the minting will have a different contract address that goes with it when you mint each time, which still makes your first one-of-one piece of one-of-one, as far as it goes. But you can, if I put out a 5 of 5 and I sold all 5 of those and they were popular and everybody wanted another set, I can take that same image of my JPEG that I have on my computer and I can mint it 5, 10, 15 more times. I can multiply it as many times as I want to, as far as it goes. And each one would, count as a different project on the blockchain. But I don't really, I've heard that problem, or not necessarily that problem, but I've heard that question asked in several different forums lately, and I'm still struggling to find why. I don't really see it as not. I'm not gonna say not significant, but I don't really see it as a problem. As far as it goes, I think that is it's just the space we live in, and we you can verify that yours is one-on-one at any and all times. You can verify that you have the one item in the collection at any and all times, and when that was made, and so on. All the information is there, so we have the blockchain. So there's no really funging of that. That's why it's a non-fungible token.
Yeah, and I think that it comes into it comes into its own when we start having more utility for the NFTs, doesn't it? When you need that one of that contract address to be able to do X. If you can have any other one, but you need that one.
You need that specific contract. Yeah. And that's what it's like when you're be scanning these or QR codes or using them for concert tickets. It's got to be that specific one, and I think that's the beauty of the blockchain. So let me get this second question here from Nike Sun. What's the connection between NFTs and cryptocurrency? Like, if an NFT is created for LSP asset, is there any connection between the digital asset and the NFT?
Can you repeat again, please? Because I'm a little bit confused on that one.
I am too. What's the connection between NFTs and cryptocurrency? Like, if an NFT is created for LSP asset, is there any connection between the digital asset and the NFT?
Okay, so to try and break that down, the difference, it is a type of crypto. An NFT is a type of crypto, right? So it's just, instead of it being a token where we can have a billion of them, like Lumenswap's LSP token, an NFT can be in various different amounts, right? A non-fungible token, meaning that it's not going to be able to be broken down. Like, you could have, 1,000 tokens, and we break them down into single tokens, and then we break them down into stroops, right? Because they've got 7 decimal places. We can break them down into little bits, and we can basically create lots and lots of pieces of that 1,000. With an NFT, an NFT is an NFT. That's it. You kind of get that one. So you can't break it and then swap it for, the kind of same. So that answers the first part. What was the second part?
I think so. Yeah. All NFTs are crypto, but all cryptos aren't NFTs.
Yes.
Looking at
that's a good way of putting it as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Is there future plans for marketplace on Stellar and also Lumenswap wallet? I think we answered the Lumenswap wallet one, and I think we answered the marketplace as well too. I think we, just kind of briefly review. I think we want to stay in house in terms of the marketplace availability goes. I think we want to make that a LSP thing out of respect obviously for what Lightman's doing and what they're soon to do. And we feel the same way at JPEG DAO. And then I think as a wallet, once again, we think that's going to be a foregone conclusion, that wallets are going to be a thing. And so thanks for taking it easy on us on that third question. We appreciate that a bunch. And we have this next one's from Dablo Campanini. Dablo Campanini. First question is, does more marketplaces in the same ecosystem, isn't it bad for the artist in general? Because it may be better to get the collectors focused on one instead of many. I'm going to say, to jump on, I think that it depends on the ecosystem first and foremost, but yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. If you look at the Ethereum blockchain, for instance, you have Rarible, you have OpenSea, you have the main one going there, but also for one artist, it's a lot better to be on some of these other blockchains like Hiccup and places where people shop at. I think that there's variety to be had there that's based on the niche of the collector. Not everybody is looking for investment, as an investment. If you're on the Ethereum blockchain, you would go to OpenSea generally. If you're looking for more of a one-on-one collectible item, there's several different spaces where you might shop at as well too. And so I don't know if it necessarily hurts the creator, because they can actually have multiple listings on the blockchain on each one. As soon as you mint anything on Ethereum, it's automatically posted to OpenSea and automatically posted to Rarible. So that's two in itself. And then past that, you can have the availability to be listed elsewhere as well too. I think that the more eyes you get on your product, the better. There's something to be said about consolidation. But I think the audience kind of picks where they generally shop at. And I don't know if that necessarily hurts the artist. What's your thoughts on it, Ben?
Yeah, I quite like that bit that you've brought up there at the end, which is, we're not all going to shop at Macy's, are we? You know what I mean? We're going to go to the shop that we resonate with, whether that's the ease of the shopping experience, the product that's in the shop. We're going to go. So I think the space, however, with Stellar, I think that Lightmint is fledgling, right? So it needs to be supported. But yeah, people are going to say, well, it's obviously the number one and that on Stellar, but Stellar's still picking up steam. We need people to be understanding that an NFT marketplace don't all come in the same shape and size. With what I envisage with Lumenswap is, it's not going to be a competitor at all of Lightmint. It's going to be a place where we have utility for our token. You must understand this. At the moment, we have no utility for LSP on Lightmint. Mm-hmm. We have to flip the LSP into XLM and then use the XLM to buy the artwork. We need to be having utility, and that is the reason that we are rolling out the NFT marketplace, right? That is the sole reason, is to bring more utility for the token. So instead of people getting to the end of the month, oh, I've got my rewards, I'm going to just dump them or sell them. They're going to be saying, well, I can do this, and they've got options.
Yeah, and I think that even with that, like I said earlier, I can see a reality at some point in the future where LSP either something's dropped on Lightman, and then once you buy it, it can be used, for LSP in some way or shape or form in the ecosystem, or we drop it and we mint it inside of our ecosystem, but you have a secondary market on Lightman that you can exchange there. I can see both those things being a reality, but as it sits right now, that's exactly what you said. We want to be able to have the utility in-house for it, and in the future, we do want to opt to have value outside of the LSP system, but I think that comes with the development of the ecosystem in general. And I think that a lot of different platforms are going to be looking to do that. And so great answers to those questions. Let me see here. The next question is same, also from Dablo. Will it be a kind of bridge between Lightmint Marketplace and Lumenswap Marketplace? Is it possible to mint an NFT in one marketplace, buy it, and resell it in the other marketplace? Does Lumenswap Marketplace will support smart contracts for the NFTs? I think that we've answered the first two. Even though that was the question, I guess, was worded a little bit differently, but I think it comes back to the same exact answer. Right now, there's no interoperability. There's no value exchange there. Right now, we can see a reality where possibly that exists in the future. The smart contracts, I'm going to say, yeah, for sure. As far as the NFTs go, I don't know if that's initially, because I don't know. I'm not privy to what I guess the developers at LSP are planning with the NFT marketplace and how it sits, but the ability to have certain executions such as staking and all that all comes with the smart contract style of protocol that I think we have access to now. And so I think that is a foregone conclusion that we are able to do that when those are presented. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think we've covered everything pretty much in a way. I don't think there's going to be a bridge between the two. I think it's going to take Lightmint on their end to incorporate something like you talk about secondary markets. There may be an area on Lightmint where we can say like the LSP side and you can use LSP. I don't know how that would work, the mechanics of it. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be a bridge. I see them as two separate entities. I really do. I think,
distant cousins that like each other.
Yeah, exactly. But there's going to be sort of collaboration in the fact that they're both NFTs and they're bringing value in that space, but they're not direct competitors at all. I really don't see that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that we that topic has been. I love that it's such a question amongst the folks, and they want to see that value, which means that everybody is just really pro stellar, right? Everybody's just pro ecosystem, and they want to see that interoperability because we all support each other, and it makes sense to want that for sure. And if it comes to a time where there's value to be exchanged on both ends, and we can maintain our level of respect that we have with the particular platforms, and I don't see it. I see it developing at that time. But as it sits right now, I think we're pretty steadfast on that. We have our last question here coming up, Ben.
Okay.
So help a newbie out. I figured out the difference between a difference in token and coin. What is an NFT, and how and why is there a demand for NFTs, and how are they of use financially? This is for a lot of people that aren't NFT centric. I think a good portion of this crypto community is just now really waking up to NFTs. And the first question on their mind, I know it was mine whenever I got in the NFT space, I was like, there's a lot of people making a lot of money on these NFTs. I was like, I better go check this out and see what's happening. And it's a large part of matter of perspective and your ability to look into the future, your ability to envision what a future looks like inside of this crypto space. At the short end, it's a JPEG. It's a crypto coin that has any type of data attached to it. It can be poetry, it can be literature, it can be music, it can be art, it can be whatever, right? It has that there, but it's also, as Ben alluded to earlier, not able to be fungible, which means you basically can't jack with it. Once it's there, it's a one of one, and it's very specific to you. So you are the only holder, and that's verifiable on the blockchain. With that said, it's so much more than that. The availability for smart contract execution and utility makes it, the soon thing to be used for all your movie tickets, right? You're going to be going to the movies and you're just going to be swapping your phone, right? Your any type of concert tickets. You can resell and resell and resell, and the artist still gets royalty from the original artwork, which has never been heard of. I know an artist named Nita Chanel Abney, and she's a client of mine, and she's one of the biggest gallery artists out. And when she makes her paintings, it sells for $250,000. And the second that she sells it to a client, it goes up to being worth almost $1 million, right? And that gap there is a gap that's like $750,000 that the artist loses out on. Now, if that client sells her painting for $1.7 million, she never sees any amount of that whatsoever, period. And now she has the ability to do NFT drops. And in NFT drop, she can have a royalty that's built in. It's baked into that price point. So where if they sell, no matter what the price is, she's got money coming from that every single time. For an artist, that's invaluable. And for a collector, respectively, you should want that for the artist. And so it gets more incentive to me anyway, as a collector. It gets more incentive for me to want to buy an NFT over a real piece of art. A, because they're probably more financially accessible. B, because I can make sure that my love for that artist is going to be portrayed through the royalty that artist gets. And and that's just one of many different features and utilities that go along with it, from DeFi protocols and staking mechanisms to whatever. And so when you look at the platform and you say, I see this 8-bit image here, this CryptoPunk, right? And it's like, that's not even cool because CryptoPunks don't look that cool, honestly. And it's like, so it's like, I see this 8-bit image and people just paid $140 million for this 8-bit image. It's like, what are we thinking? you have to kind of lift up the veil and look and see the resonance that's happened from the beginning of the NFT space. That this where all cryptocurrencies are going to. Is going to be having some sort of linking. Plus, they're fun. They're just freaking fun, honestly. Like everybody loves some good artwork. It brings another air of it brings another air of creativity to the crypto space that I think is mostly been rooted in financial. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you've unpacked a lot there. I mean, going back to the early part of the answer that you gave, for me, the way I see it is an NFT is a representation of something online. So, like you're saying, about links, it can be documents, it can be images, videos. I mean, let's look at a couple of examples in terms of music as well. You gave the artist there as maybe someone where you've bought a piece of art and they're going to get rewarded. But I mean, of course, an artist, it can be music as well. And that can be where they get royalties on that piece of music, not necessarily a piece of physical art that we see, but a piece of music they've created. As you said, so many different areas that we can be looking at. And also, I was just thinking then, what about cinema tickets? You could have cinema tickets where you get an NFT. Say you have a mobile phone provider, and that phone provider wants to reward you for using them as their provider. Mm-hmm. And they're going to say, right, every month we're going to send you an NFT. That NFT can be reclaimed against the cinema pass. Mm-hmm. So you could have a wallet within your phone provider's app that will enable you to receive NFTs. You can use those. How about going to the supermarket and getting some sort of reward points? Mm-hmm. You can get NFT. Then when you hit a certain amount of reward points, it gets sent through. You can reclaim that against your groceries. Yeah. I mean, we could have this conversation, and I mean, this conversation could last for 3 days because there's literally that much scope. I think it's fantastic. I mean, the possibilities are almost limitless, and NFTs are going to touch every single person that's in the digital world in the next 2 to 3 years. Every single person that's got a mobile phone is going to be having some form of NFTs. It's inevitable. So it's really exciting, and I think, like you said earlier on, Chak, people now like starting to look and think about making money. I've never made any money with NFTs. I just buy them to put in frames. So I think they look cool. I'm one of them people that I think, oh, that looks sick, and I want to put that up in my like office space.
I think I'm going to start buying NFTs too. Like I looked at it yesterday. I was going through my OpenSea collection, and it's quite pitiful. And I've made a bunch of money off of NFTs, but my collection as it sits right now is like, it's quite pitiful. It's just a couple of ones that I wasn't able to offboard because the price just felt way too low on the floor. And I was sitting there like, man, there's many cool collections that I've been a part of, right? Like I've been in early on some really cool collections, doodles and just like really cool collections. And I'm like, as many of these cool collections I've been a part of, I don't have any art to show for it because I moved it all. And so for me, it's like as an investor, I've always that's been my draw into crypto. Is like you can create money out of nowhere, and so I'll get in early on one of these minted projects, and then I'll it'll shoot up, and I'll sell for 3 ETH, and I'm like, yes, I just sold for 3 ETH, but I don't really have any art to collect, and so I'm getting ready to take some of my bag from LSP and go shop on Lightmint. I talked to Andrew the other day, and I'm going to have him do a custom punk for me. And just really start enjoying the artwork aspect of it. I feel as much as I'm a proponent, like you would think from my last rant, as much as I'm a proponent of like the artist and what it means for the artist, I think I'm more a proponent of it in concept than I am like practice. And so I need to be about what I talk about. And so I'm going to go buy some art just to have. I'm not going to expect it to go up in value. I'm just going to not sell it. And so that's my agenda for the rest of the day today, and I'll share that in the thread.
I'm waiting for like Andrew's punks to because it's only a matter of time about the gold rush. I'm waiting for his punks to just moon in value, and then I'll be like, maybe I should start making some money. So I'm the flip of you. Yeah. You're the one that's buying them just to get some art, and I'm like, I've not made any money yet, but maybe I should sell a couple of the punks I bought in the early days.
Well, maybe we'll meet in the middle somewhere. And so,
yeah, exactly.
I think that's the end of our question list. Did you have a favorite question at all?
I think we should go with Dablo Campiani's. I think he talked about bridging across, and he was asking some questions about Lumenswap and about Lightmint. So, yeah, out of all of them there, I think let's go with Dablo. He's the winner.
I will. You know what? I like that as well too. I was thinking that Ronda's had some relevance as well too. I think she actually won last week too, and so just in the meter of fairness. But I think Diablo's questions were spot on. I think he really conceptualized and really put into words what a lot of people have been thinking and wondering as well too. And yeah, let's go with that one. So Diablo, congratulations. We will send you your LSP. I'll hop on the thread, make sure we get your address, and then we'll have Vlad send it straight to you. This has been the Chak Podcast. We love you guys, flat out, period. Love having Ben on here. Ben, thank you so much for coming in
Yeah,
and doing
I
this.
can't wait to have you back onto the Lumenswap show, Shaq, and we can, everyone, that is in Lumenswap. I mean, Shaq's the man, to be speaking to with regard to the NFT stuff, and he's, in close relationships with a lot of the artists, over on JPEG DAO, and if you need any answers, he's got a far deeper knowledge than what I have, and I think that you'll probably get NFT answers in a lot more detail from Shaq. So thank you very much for having me on, mate. I can't wait to have another chat with you on either of our shows in the future.
Yeah, for sure. I can't wait for your event on. Was that the 28th?
28th is the NFT night. Yeah, it's going to be a big one. We're going to try and I think now we're up to like seven or eight panelists, and they're all bringing a unique piece, and they're going to be talking about what they're doing and what inspires them and that. So I think for Stella, it's going to be a very, very big night, and we're really looking forward to it.
I'll pop up for sure. I'll definitely be around. So
yeah, definitely. Okay, awesome. Mate. Nice speaking to you.
All right, nice speaking to you too. Have a good day.
Cheers, chat.
All right, later.